Welcome, Rugby League fans, and welcome to the first video and audio episode of Intimate Sessions. You've listened before, now you get to come and watch this face for radio that's in front of you right now. So if you're watching, hello, good to see you. If you're listening, it's up to you on whether or not you really want to go take a look at my face. But you may want to come over and see our guest face who's coming on, who actually just told me that he also thinks that he has a face for radio. Good session. Really excited to have the head coach of the Boston 13s and former Wales International Rugby League player, Mr. Peter Lupton. Peter, what's going on? Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Dustin, how are you?
Yeah,
to be
good.
on here.
Good. Excited to have you. We love our intimate sessions. We love sitting down and talking with lads like yourself from all over, not just the US, but Canada. And, eventually we'll have some people from other countries coming on as we've been working on. But I really just kind of want to start off with your background. You've been over here in the US since, 2017 ish? I think I saw 2017, maybe a little bit before.
2015, yeah.
15. Oh, man, sorry. See, I was trying to do my homework and I got the years wrong. So you've been over since 2015, but before that, I mean, you played with Castleford, you played with Hull, you played with the London Broncos. Uh, you know, give us a little bit of background about your history in rugby league and coming all the way up and now where you're at as a young, sprightly lad playing rugby league and coaching rugby league. I mean, just coaching. You're not playing anymore because your wife would get very upset if she found out you were playing, right?
yeah, wink, wink.
Yeah, right. Wink, wink, hint, hint. But yeah, just give us a background and who you are, and we'll get into some good stuff.
Yeah, so I was brought up in Cumbria, which is the northwest of England. It's kind of like the heartbed of rugby league up there. There's a lot of everything is rugby league. It's one of the main counties. You have Yorkshire and Lancashire. So yeah, it's only a small place where I was born in. I was born actually in Whitehaven, but brought up in a small village called Milham.
Mhm.
Not much else to do there growing up apart from rugby, really. So everyone in my school played it, and friends, family, everyone. So I was brought up that way, and my dad was an ex-professional as well. So it was kind of bred into me at an early age. And then, luckily, when I left school, I had signed a contract for London Broncos. So I left school at 16, went straight down to the Big Smoke in London. Had to kind of fend my own way. Luckily, I had some good teammates who I lived with growing up and through the ranks. And after a year of the academy, I was lucky enough to grab a few first team games. I think I was 17, maybe just turned 18, under John Morney, which a legend coach himself.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much just went from there and just kind of after the London, moved further up north to Leeds Rhinos for a year just to basically get more game time in the academy. I kind of drifted out at London Broncos, so then played a year there in the academy, won the grand final, and then the guy who I was living with, who is also a Cumbrian, Ewan Dowes, we both actually went to Hull FC on loan, and then we were living together, so it made it easy travelling.
Yeah.
Then to Castleford. Had a great year there. I think 2 or 3 years there. Then went from there to down to Wales with the Crusaders. So by moving down with the Crusaders, I lived in Wales for 3 years in total, or more than 3 years. That kind of qualified me through residency for the Welsh team. So
Yeah.
luckily enough, I got picked for that. Played in the World Cup and the European Championship, and then after that, me and the wife were thinking about coming to America, so we decided to move back to Cumbria. Played in the championship with Workington and Barrow Raiders, and then we jumped on the flight and come over here to Boston.
To Boston, and so why Boston of all the places in the U.S.? What is it about Boston and the draw for you that brought you over there?
So really, I had a friend from Milham living in Boston, and just one night I called him and said, "Is there any rugby over there?" Because the Wise family is actually from Houston, Texas.
Okay.
So he said there is a couple of teams, and I got in touch with Robin Pears, who was
Oh yeah.
involved with the Boston 13s for a while, and then he touched me onto a rugby union club called the Irish Wolfhounds, And basically they set me up to come over, fly, play with the rugby union first, and then obviously the league in the summer. Set me up with a job, great club, looked
Oh
after me
wow.
very well. So, and then just from one thing to another, uh, settled in a job, started playing. Obviously, the kids were in school, so everything was kind of like just falling into place. And recently, we had the chance to probably move back down to Houston, but the kids have settled in Boston so well. The schooling's great.
It's too hot in Houston. You don't want to be in there anyway.
Yeah,
Like it's
hey,
listen, I lived in Austin, Texas for 7 years. Houston is hot. There's too many people.
you can't say someone from the UK. They love the sun. We don't get enough over there, so
Yeah.
we'll take
Yeah.
any bit of sun we can.
Yeah, but I do know that people from the UK, they love the sun, but they don't do well in the sunshine very often. A little bit of fair
Uh,
skin, little bit of burning going on
yeah,
there. But so yeah, you played with Hall. I mean, you played 48 games with Hall. You had 10 tries. Same with Castleford. I think you about the same, 42 and 12. I mean, so you have a pretty that your years like 2003 to 2008. A lot of time spent in Super League and really doing some great stuff about there. How did that involvement in playing at that high level when you've come over here to now playing with the 13s and now coaching the 13s, how has that kind of transitioned, that experience transitioned into what you do now and how you train up with the 13s?
yeah. So at first, it was actually quite frustrating for me to play. I had to change everything about how I played. Obviously, you're not playing with the same quality caliber players, and to actually think that you can throw a pass and knowing that in Super League someone's going to be there, but then you've
Yeah,
got someone who's come kind of like straight out the pub and he's 5 yards behind. You kind of put the emphasis on them to say it's their fault. But after a few games, I kind of realized that I've got to bring my game back and work with them.
yeah,
And as soon as that clicked after about 3 4 games, like I started really enjoying it again, and just the best thing was is a lot of the guys haven't had any kind of real coaching before, and just to tell them
sure,
little pointers what kind of growing up in from the young age and learning them little things, you kind of forget about it until you actually see someone who's never been coached it before. So just giving little tips here and there and seeing the progression of guys was it's a great thing. So that's really why I kind of jumped into the coaching role these days as well.
yeah. So you took over to the coaching in last year, end of last year, or beginning? I mean, how long have you been coaching since Robin left, or how what
Uh,
was your involvement with Robin and how you guys worked together then?
Yeah, so Robin was like the general manager. Robin,
Yeah,
he was great. He sorted everything out by himself. He was basically running the club all by himself. Did a really great job. He even jumped in with the coaching too. Like he did a bit of coaching back over in the UK.
yeah.
Very good development coach. So he kind of helped out great for me to transition. So yeah, he's still around the club. He's just got a few commitments, but like I say, Robin's full of rugby league. He's always around, so he's always got good advice still.
Runs in his veins, just like a lot of people who are on the
Yeah,
show and a lot
you,
of we talk
you can
about.
never just walk away with it and never
No,
look back. And
it's as much as you try, it just pulls you all the way back in.
yeah,
uh, so one thing we didn't touch upon is you actually had a great opportunity. I guess it would have been last fall for the first time. You actually got to play for the U.S. national team against Canada. Am I not mistaken on that?
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So a part of yeah, that was kind of a surprise call. It's something like I always wanted to do is to be involved with the USA team. Coming over here with my, like you say, my experience, I kind of thought it might be a little bit of a waste if I don't try and do something with it. Luckily enough, someone's bad luck, an injury occurred,
Mm.
and Sean Rudison rang me up and said, "Hey Pete, we need a halfback. Are you fit enough to play?" At the time, I wasn't too fit, but
You said,
I still said yeah,
sure.
yeah. So I got back onto the running, and at the time, I still have today is I've got two bulged discs and a trapped nerve in my back. So
Yeah, as rugby league players tend to have apparently. So
yeah, so I thought I'd just bite the bullet and get involved, and a part of that in the back of my head, thinking if I show them that I can still play a little bit and maybe show them my experience, and obviously playing against Sean in Super League back in the day, I could maybe jump on the coaching staff, which
Yeah.
I'm one of the assistant coaches now. So
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. So
yeah, so
that,
it's yeah, we're trying to get a team together to go over. And I think Jamaica, we got a friendly in November time.
oh,
So yeah,
that is exclusive news. You've just heard it here that I didn't know about, that you guys were going to try to play Jamaica. You're going to go down to Jamaica in November.
yeah.
And this is not the same as the rugby championship that was postponed because of the World Cup changes, right? Or is this just a one-off, or is this part of the?
So this, yeah, with everything kind of being postponed with the World Cup, we only thought it was right to try and get a game going again. So I think it's a part of the rankings, but it's kind of like a friendly game as well. So
Yeah.
with
Well,
with
rankings are interesting right now. We do not sit, as the U.S. does not sit very well in the rankings, as you know.
yeah,
So let's dive into that, since we're kind of just talking about it. U.S. national team, we've dropped off rankings quite a bit. We actually haven't won a game since 2018. So it would have been the last game against Canada. I think the second to last game against Canada, right after the World Cup losses. What do you think that we need to be doing more as in the U.S. obviously, for building out the national team a little bit more? Do you think that things like the inclusion of now the PCRL, Utah Rugby League Association, RLU, coming together, players coming together, do you think that helps out the situation right now, even though that's so disparate as far as the amount of space between, sorry, travel time?
yeah. Like I said, the more teams you get playing rugby in any league, you're gonna find a rough diamond somewhere. So like I said, this game with the Jamaica's kind of been a quick turnaround and trying to get things together real quick. And
Mm.
we've definitely we started. We had a North versus South game
Oh
recently.
yeah. Shh. Not many people knew it was a secret game that nobody knew about until like the last couple days. At least the general public didn't know about it. I knew
Yeah,
about it,
so
but
just growing on things like that, and trying to scope the whole of the US and trying to get as many players involved, and Sean's got a good plan in ahead on trying to get across to see everyone, getting camps and things like that. Like it'll definitely bring out a lot more players who have kind of maybe not had the look in over the past,
yeah,
and obviously US is massive, so
yeah.
it's
We,
not
we,
like
we say it every week.
yeah, it's not like driving from Yorkshire to Lancashire and picking a few guys, couple of hours
Right.
drive. It's
Hopping
three,
on a
four
train or
hours.
something.
Yeah. Like even the games, like you're traveling over here when we're in the RLU league, you're traveling 4 or 5 hours
Right.
without traffic for a game, which if you had told me that back in England, we did it 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 hours, should I say, London traveling away every week.
Yeah.
But that was it. You stopped in a hotel and everything was red
Yeah.
carpet. Here, you could be doing a 10-hour drive, jumping out the car, quick swig of water, and straight on the rugby field.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of those things that we talk about all the time is, I was on an episode of Niche Sports with the guys over in the UK who's actually helping get up Scottish Rugby League
Yeah,
and stuff. And they're like, I'm sorry, how far is it? I'm like, yeah, it's like I mean, just think about this past weekend, USARL finals, the distance for California for the Dead Pelicans to go down and play Jacksonville was a flight from San Francisco to probably like Houston or something, which is
yeah,
4 hours and odd change, and then another 2.5 hour flight to Jacksonville. Like a direct flight is like 5.5 hours. Like
it's
it's
crazy.
a long distance, and that's a flight. It's a whole day. So, but yeah, for sure. So obviously, it's exciting that we're gonna be playing. It's exciting to hear about all the growth and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about you up in Boston and the growth up there. Obviously, we go back a couple of years. NARL happened. Boston, one of the first, some of the teams. I mean, all but Delaware from the RLU were going to join the NARL. The excitement of like the professional league that was going to happen. We all know what kind of happened with that. Teams backed out. Boston and Brooklyn and New York were one of the first ones, and then obviously it just kind of fizzled away. DC held on strong. What was that like for you guys? COVID aside, because COVID's hard to judge like what happens, but what has it been like to kind of rebuild? Because you guys were, perennial powerhouses up there in Boston, won the national championship, and now trying to rebuild on, you know, after COVID, and as, you know, lads get older, as we all know what
Yeah.
happens, is we know because, us us 40 something year olds, like you and I, not that not that we're that old, but we can't play the game forever. So how are you working to build that now?
Yeah, it's been actually pretty tough. We were getting 30, 40 guys at training at some training sessions, and then recently we've been 15 players. We still got a lot of guys on chat group, but it's just been so hard, especially with the older ones falling out of the scene and not so many young ones getting in.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it to do is the rugby unions picked up, especially in Boston
With
with the
Free
Free
Jacks.
Jacks.
Yeah.
Especially now with them winning, we used to get a lot of rugby union players cross coding, but now it seems like the union guys want to stay a bit more and focus more on their season ahead coming around in the fall, so they don't want to get injuries. And obviously, with the Free Jacks being very involved in the local communities, they're always looking for a chance. So
Yeah.
it's hard to pull them guys away to try and keep them in the league for the year.
Yeah, to say how's that, from a recruiting standpoint? Obviously, young getting younger players is the key. And as you said, like guys that have played rugby league, like the older you get, you can't do it anymore. You have to have younger guys. So let's talk about the younger guys. How, because it's a challenge that it's not just you in Boston that faces. It's everywhere across the country that's going to be
Yeah,
facing this right now. We talk Miami, the South Florida Speed, like they've had hard time getting players, and now they've got a new MLR team. Guys out in California and Utah and other places, everybody struggles for numbers in the areas where there are union teams. But I think in general, we're struggling to grab the youth to begin with. What do you think are going to be some important things in the next, 2 to 3 years that we need to be doing as rugby league enthusiasts and as rugby league, as a prophets and and whatnot, but to get out there and pull in more younger players when trying to compete with the MLR, which is tough.
yeah. Well, the big thing is if you've got a strong national team, people look to want to play for the countries, and if they've got a tunnel to walk through to go straight to a national team or a path,
Yeah,
uh, that's especially for a young kid. Everyone wants to, no matter what sport it is, they want to represent at the highest level. So if we could get this USA national team back on the map and start winning obviously games and getting a bit of buzz around, it filters down. So like you say, the MRL, the Free Jacks started, and the MLR league itself is a solid league now. It's getting more and more attention to it more every time, and
yeah.
the USA national team has profited from it. So
Haven't performed, but they profited.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry, World Cup, Union World Cup coming up, and we're not in it. So
yeah. But like something like that, if the Union fall out of that and the league are going strong, it's quite easy to switch people's mind from one to the other just
yeah.
because of the growth of it. So
Do you
yeah,
think
there's
even without that, there's opportunity to pull players and say, "Hey, listen, you come here, you learn, you're a rugby union player. Let's teach you how to play league." There's probably an easier, well, I say easier, but there's probably a shorter pathway to play for the U.S. National Rugby League team as it is opposed to the rugby union team, given the amount of players that are in rugby union right now in the States versus rugby league players. Do you
yeah,
think that is a possibility as well?
yeah, it's always a possibility. I think as well what we another a big thing, especially with America, what we're missing out on is the guys who play American football.
Yeah,
A lot of them guys are more suited to rugby league than they are rugby union.
100%.
And like you said, I think it's less than 1% get into the NFL in the whole
Oh, you've
of
been
America.
listening.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like the chances of that, if we're not trying to scope around the college teams and stuff like that, like we could pull a few players in. You get a couple of high quality players from the college teams. They talk to their friends, and
Yeah.
then it's just a snowball effect. So
And
something like
it
that.
doesn't even have to be D1. It can D2,
Uh,
college athletes are,
yeah,
again, yeah, I think it's easy from that standpoint.
yeah. I think we'd like to say get the word out. As long as you're an athlete and you can run and tackle, pass,
Yeah.
you're halfway there to be a rugby player.
I mean, some
It,
rugby league players still don't know how to pass, so that's fine.
yeah, like I say, I would take an athletic guy who can put the work in over a guy who's skillful every day.
Yeah, because
Because you can
go
mold
ahead.
an athlete
Yeah,
into however you want it to be.
yeah, exactly. So let's okay. We talk a little bit about that national team and kind of the draw from there. Stuff in Boston been a little bit difficult to get things going, but you guys up in the Northeast. I appreciate the work that you all put in to play a full season. To play home and away matches for everybody, to have magic weekends in different locations. Let's walk through. I mean, not the best season for Boston. 2-4,
Yeah.
wound up third. But from the standpoint, how do you feel it went as far as a first season for the RLU?
So for the RLU, I think it's been kind of a success really. Even though Boston didn't do too great, we got teams out each week. I know Chris Martin from the Brooklyn put a lot of work in, and we really had a lot of fun over the whole year. We played the
Yeah,
games, we had the after parties, everything was set up. It wasn't just go and play rugby and go home. Everything was set up good. We had like every game was a great game to go and play. A lot of the teams knew each other a lot more. We got closer together because we were playing each other week in, week out. We had the magic weekends where we played 2 games on a weekend. Just things like that, thinking outside the box and bringing the players together rather than just being rivalries. We got a lot out of it.
yeah. And as far as you talked about the North versus South, that this quiet game that nobody really knew about, for a
Yeah,
while. Yeah, I know that there has been and probably still a bit of animosity between, we'll call it older boys, because that's actually kind of where it probably last between USARL and guys up in the Northeast. And you know, do you foresee? Because everybody asks me, and I don't know what the answer is right now. Do you foresee kind of a come together? Because I know DC has called out and said the national championship goes through DC or whatever, talking about like who's the best in the U.S. Like we don't know that. Could the Dead Pelicans beat the Cavalry and the two champions? I mean, it'd be kind of fun. This like a World Club Challenge type of
yeah, yeah,
environment. But do you foresee anytime in the near future, having that competition, or not saying that you guys would fold into the USARL, but to have more of the back and forth, like let's compete against,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I think definitely. Like I said, like speaking to Sean, and he's down there in the south and in that league, and like I said, I don't know too much of the politics and everything, but at the end of the day, the more times we can get together and play rugby league, the more it's going to get everyone closer together and actually enjoy. And like you say, you can do the club challenges. Who's the best
Yeah.
in the south? Play the north, and you can do all that. And it's a promotional thing. It gets everyone buzzing, and it's an extra carrot at the end of the year to try and play for. Like I say, I think a lot of the older guys have probably got a bit of gripe against each other or whatever.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, I think the way forward for the USA Rugby League is even if they're not under the same league, but overall they're under the same umbrella, but they're all separate leagues. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that would work. And
I mean,
just
it's kind of what the PCRL does right now with Utah and California, right?
yeah,
Because Utah has their own 4 teams that play each other. California has their own 4 teams. Those two play each other, and that's the West Coast champion, basically the PCRL champion. It doesn't have to; it can just be East West champion. Because I think
yeah,
that's a viable option. You have the South because you guys can't go and play everybody in the South all every weekend. Like we all know how tough it was for you guys, even back before COVID and everything, trying to come down and play Jacksonville or play other teams. Like difficult. Like it's
yeah.
not easy.
Yeah. There's got to be a lot of funding from somewhere, aren't there, to get all
Yeah,
that up and running.
people need to get some money.
Yeah,
Peter, you got to win that Powerball, man.
I'm
Just go
sure
ahead.
there's plenty of billionaires in the US somewhere hiding.
There
Just
are,
want
but they have want nothing to do with rugby league right now.
a lot of them
So-
are holding out for an NFL club, aren't they?
oh yeah, right. But hey, who knows? Maybe next March, with the NRL coming and playing in Vegas, maybe that's a catalyst. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll talk about that a whole another time. We could talk. We'll have 50 episodes on the NRL in Vegas. So,
Oh yeah.
but what I want to talk about now is your season was finished, 2-4. So I talked with some of the other lads in the team, and they're like, "We're done. I was eating pizza, drinking beer, and not doing anything, and all of a sudden, boom, Toronto Wolfpack come up and they say, "Hey, you want to come over and play in Toronto?" And you all said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" How did this come about? How long have you been planning it? And are you all
Oh,
ready to play?
the planning it. It was a quick turnaround, to be honest. It was probably about a week ago. Um, a good friend who I played with at Wales, Matty Barron. I think he's the captain
Yeah.
of the Wolfpack. He just sent me a message. One of the teams pulled out of their weekend for Labour weekend, and he said, "Hey, can you get a team together? Do you want to come up and play us?" Obviously, rugby aside, I just want to go and have a drink with him. So
Okay, so
straight,
now we know the real reason why you're going up and playing is you're just going up to have a drink with Maddie.
yeah, so straight away it's a yes. Yeah, I can get a team together. So yeah, it went from that, and I tell you, Toronto have been outstanding. They've kept everything to the word. They've funded the flights and travel for us. They've set
Oh yeah.
everything up after the game. Like it's not a Mickey Mouse show with them. They've really stood up and they've been honest, straightforward, hard talking. Just
Well, it's good to hear
yeah,
that from you because like I've been maybe a bit critical of Toronto in the past month or two because of all the cancellations with the other teams and other things happening. And we do know that they had like paying the way. That's a lot of money. Like to pay for
yeah,
your flights and hotels. I still go back and think they could have funded a champions like a regional match between Canada, the U.S., and Jamaica, and everybody, whoever else, for as money as they're paying for everybody to come up and play. But
yeah,
hey, I'm not in charge. I'm not pulling the purse strings, so that's all right. But from this standpoint, it's good to hear, right?
yeah,
We all want to see the rugby league grow. I think Toronto with their brand is very uh, storied, proud, and it's a great thing that they're doing. You just let them know that we really want to have them on the podcast and chat. Like we've been pounding them. So when you go up this weekend, let me know.
yeah.
Uh,
Like you say, I'll pull a few strings for you.
there you go. But okay, so are you taking? I have to ask: are you taking a full 13 side, or you got a couple guys coming, some ringers coming in from somewhere else to come up and play?
Yeah,
It's okay if you do.
we've had to pull a few in as a few lads from Brooklyn going to join in.
All right.
They're going to help out. There's a couple of lads from the Saints up in Canada too. They're
Okay.
willing to
Yeah,
put their
yeah.
hand up. Like you said, last minute Labour
Yeah, yeah.
weekend. We've got a majority squad Boston. Uh, it seems like we'll have a decent squad, so we'll surely give them a good game.
Yeah, and we all know that it will be live streamed. You won't, if you don't want to pay, you can go back and watch it later. So I do know that's part of it. So I think
Yeah.
they're charging like $35 to for the whole season to stream online. So,
All
but
right. Yeah.
that's live if you want to stream live. If you
Yeah.
can go back and watch a replay later for free, I think. But so with everybody coming up and some players coming in, how do you kind of prepare yourself so are you gonna coach and play? Are you strapping up?
I'm definitely strapping up. Yeah, like I said, I told Matty, I said, look, I'm going to come in third man on you and just give you a little uppercut.
little
Just
right in the
yeah. So I'm sure he'll be doing the same to me. But like you say, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young or what level you've played at. If you've got a few mates knocking around in the other teams or in your team, and it's what rugby's all about, is a bit of camaraderie and
yeah.
bit of love, bit of laugh, and a bit of a dig here and there, and everyone's happy. You enjoy a beer afterwards.
Exactly. So I- we'll kind of wrap some stuff up here and come back at a couple of things that I was thinking about. Let's put put your put yourself in a 2 to 3 year mindset. What do you think? Give me your top three things on how we can grow the sport here more You come from, the Cumbria region where obviously rugby league, very popular. People know it, people play it, it's part of culture, right? But, here we're kind of, we don't really have that. What are you going to do in Boston? And then what can we do as a nation? I say nation because we're all over the place, to help grow the sport here to get where we need to be ready for a next World Cup whenever we can qualify again.
I think the biggest thing, if it could ever happen, is to do like the rugby union and try and get it in the high schools.
Yeah.
I know it's far from that, but if you see that the schools have got the rugby union in the high schools, I mean, just where I live here in Braintree, next to Quincy, where the Free Jacks play, I've got neighbours and everyone walking down the street asking me how's the Free Jacks, because I actually started off. I played a few
Yeah.
games for the Free
You signed with
Jacks.
them for back in,
Yeah,
well,
back
their
back
first year.
first year, yeah. So
Yeah.
they all think I'm involved in it still. I'm like, I'm not involved, but I still go down
But,
and watch and have a couple of beers.
but let me tell you about a better version of rugby.
Well, that's what I always say.
Yeah,
I say
right.
you think that's good? Come and watch a game of rugby league.
Yeah.
So
Gee,
it's.
go ahead.
I was just going to say that's what we got to do. We got to tell them. Like
Yeah.
if you tell someone it's like American football without pads and it's the same structure but it's constant action, they're like, wow, what's happening? I always get my phone out and show a few of Sonny Bill big hits, and
Oh,
and they just love it. So
yeah.
we kind of got to get that into the public wherever you are, in the schools, and not so much the schools with Sonny Bill, but
Yeah, right.
they'll say no straight away.
No,
But
we don't want
yeah,
that.
just to try and get it as a curriculum in the schools
Yeah.
would be awesome.
I think that, we've said it before multiple times. I think from the standpoint of just getting people together to understand, like, it's American football fans, NFL fans, college fans. They are very passionate and they know their sport. They know their sport. To get somebody to watch a rugby union game, you're like, oh, it's like football without pads. And it's like, it is, but it's not, right? There's
Yeah,
so much more, there's acrobatics and lifting people in lineouts. And there's, everybody goes, well, what's that thing where they come together and just, push on people for a while? It doesn't look like they're doing
yeah,
anything, right? And I said, yeah, that's a scrub. Like, there's more to it. Whereas in rugby league, you know, it's
yeah.
an easy transition to go offense, defense, boom, 5
That's
tackles,
that's
punt,
it.
punt. I tell people they don't kick the ball away; they punt the ball away. So people
Yeah,
go, "Oh, a punt, yeah, I got it." It's just more tackles per down, so whatever you want to call it, which is pretty much it.
I think what
Yeah.
will be surprising is with the NRL coming to Vegas.
Oh man.
If that's on the TVs over here and you just get one guy. I remember one time I was in Vegas and it was Australia against New Zealand on one of the TV screens, and I
Jeez.
just started watching it, and it got a gathering straight away.
Yeah.
Like if we get that on the TVs over here, and people start just, what's this type of rugby?
Yeah.
Like the NRL could be a big influence on America.
Yeah. But so here's my question for you then, as we talk about growth. Do you think the Super League would be more of a draw given the time zone, right? So we think the same as like Premiership, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, granted, the Super League is not nearly as big as the NRL. It's just not right now. Maybe, I mean, globally, I don't think it
yeah,
is.
no,
But it's a better time zone for us. Whereas, for us, you and I on the East Coast, watching NRL games at
yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning just ain't happening, man.
I watch replays on that one.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thursday night footy will be on for me at about 8 o'clock tonight when I can watch it on NRL.com. So,
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
but
Because like with like you were saying, like with the Premier League, there's more Premier League games on a Saturday morning than there
yeah,
is on Sky Sports in the UK for the whole weekend.
yeah, exactly. Like
And there's no other sport in USA going on on
no,
a Saturday morning.
at
So
10 o'clock in the morning, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, people are out tailgating for football matches,
yeah,
for football games. Excuse me, that habit. Watching EPL matches, where they could be watching Super League matches and doing it that way, and
yeah.
then watching hard contact, then to go in and watch more hard contact with the college and NFL games. So
Yeah, we should get onto the Super League to
yeah, I'm sure
somehow
IMG
stream.
is all about that right now. Sorry, I've got my opinions on Super League right
Yeah.
now. Well, yeah, Peter, but really appreciate you coming on, talking about, just a little bit about everything. I mean, obviously there's lots to do. Did not know that you guys are going to be trying to play Jamaica in November. That's exciting. Exciting, to hear that you're one of the coaches and can be helping out there. I think your experience and your knowledge is going to really, really be beneficial for a lot of these players. For those that are interested, how can people follow the Boston 13s more? What are, people in the area, what do they want to, where can they go to find you guys and link up with you all?
I think the first thing is go to the website on the Boston 13s, and then the social media. We have the Instagram page. I mean, you just type in Boston 13s, you get to whatever page you need to.
Yeah.
Like you
And
say,
we'll let you know your website is down right now. So you
oh.
should go pay that bill.
That's why I don't deal with that stuff.
Go pay that. Whoever's in charge of that, go pay that bill.
Yeah.
Get that website back up. But yeah,
if anyone wants to ever get in touch, just add me as a friend on even Facebook. Just type in Peter Lupton. I'm happy to talk and try and get people involved. It's like you say, I love the rugby. I love the sport. I just want, I've had a lot of success out of it. I've had a lot of dreams fulfilled, and if I could do that to help someone do the same thing in any kind of way, I am happy to do it.
Love it. Well, Peter, really appreciate the time. Thanks for jumping on, chatting, being a part of our first video intimate sessions. That's exciting. Everybody get to see our smiling faces, and it's good to kind of put faces with names that people have seen on different social media channels and things like that. So good luck this weekend.
Good
luck against the Wolfpack. Hopefully you can lead your team to victory, or at least give the Wolfpack a run for the money. I think I'm a little bit, I don't know, I give the Wolfpack a little hard time because they're playing all home games. So I was like, go travel somewhere. Go, you got the money. Go play somebody else. Go down to Boston and play them at home. So maybe it'll be a home and away match next year.
Yeah, we've got a nice stadium. We play out at Harvard, so got a nice stadium.
Right? So you guys have one of the best stadiums, like in all. Jacksonville's got a pretty good setup, but I think you guys have you're pretty much locked in for the best stadium in the U.S. right now. Just with being associated with Harvard and the college, I think that helps out a lot too. So, well, Peter Lupton, really appreciate it. The head coach of the Boston 13s, the player for Boston 13s for who knows how many more years. We'll see. We'll keep watching those lineups and stuff in the coming years. So thanks for coming on. If you guys want to follow us, while you're doing it on social media, if you're watching this, check out our new YouTube page, which is going to be live. We'll have this as our first video on the YouTube page. And then, of course, rugbyleagueinamerica.net. Go and buy or go and pre-order one of those very, very nice USA 53 vintage replica jerseys that we've kind of created. You put your name or number on it. And then also that's coming out, that's just been released, is the Dead Pelicans 2023 National Championship gear that they partnered with us and asked us to put out. So we put that out. But yeah, appreciate Peter Lupton joining us on. Thanks again, man. Can't thank you enough for coming and joining us. And for everybody else, until next time, this has been Intimate Sessions, the video edition on Rugby League in America.